we're going to be talking about assessing forage. Year on year, silage will be different depending on a number of factors. The dry matter in particular will be a massive variable. So it's really important to get your silage analysed on your farm and not just taking average values, because it can be so different from farm to farm. So it's important to know what silage you have on farm in order to balance that correctly for the stock and make sure they're achieving the performance that you're aiming for. When it comes to the silage pit, as there can be quite a few different layers and different cuts within the pit, it's quite useful to do a face sample across the face of the silage pit, and that just gives you a better idea of what's actually being fed to the animals at that time. Core samples are also useful to give an early indication of what the quality is like in the pit, but ideally once the pit is open, taking a face sample is preferable. So when you are taking a face sample, you want to take it in a sort of W shape across the face of the clamp. That way you're getting samples from the top, middle and bottom, as there can be quite a variation as you go across the face. Ideally you want to dig in about 15 to 20 centimetres whenever you are taking a sample, so you're not getting exactly off the face, as there can be some runoff or some deterioration from the air, and take about 9 samples across this W shape across the clamp. Once you have all your samples together, use a bucket to put all those samples in and mix them thoroughly, and then I would half your sample and mix it again, and then half that sample again and again thoroughly mix it. You want to send to the lab about 500 grams or half a kilo of silage, and that's enough for them to do their silage analysis. When you're sampling, make sure you're not taking any mouldy bits of silage or bits that won't be fed to the animal. You want to get a representative sample as possible when you're sending it to the lab. Your analysis is only good as the sample that you send. So when it comes to sampling the bales on farm as well, ideally once you've brought them in, having them in different stacks depending on what field or what cut they've come from. And each of these batches I would take 5 core samples from 5 different bales and mix those together and send that for analysis. So when you have your sample and you've put it in a bag, ideally using a sandwich bag or freezer bag, something that can seal, and squeeze out as much air as possible to reduce the aerobic deterioration that can happen once the air gets into your sample, and putting all your information on that bag, what cut it is, what livestock it's being fed to. Ideally don't post it on a Friday if you can. You want to get it to the lab as soon as possible, so don't leave it in the farm office and forget about it. Make sure you send it on a Monday if possible. Ideally when you are sending it to a lab, look for an FAA assured lab. You can find these on the FAA, the Forage Analytical Assurance Group website. So for more information you can visit the Farm Advisory Service website, and you will also find more of the videos in this series.